You're locked in to the hottest station on the planet.
Resistance is futile. The revolution has begun.
You're listening to Rebelpreneur Radio, helping you break the rules and build the business you need for the life you want. And now, broadcasting his pirate signal
from somewhere beyond the status quo,
here's your host, best-selling author, marketing and media strategist, Ralph Brogden.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Rebelpreneur Radio, the show that helps you build the business you need so you can live the life you want. How is your business? How is your life? And do you have the mental resilience you need to meet today's unique challenges? Well, if you're like me, you're always looking for ways to grow and improve. So I'm really excited to introduce today's guest who's going to help us do just that. Joining us today is Dr. Scott McComas. He is the president of McComas Consulting Group. He is a professional training and development consultant. He's based in sunny Orlando, Florida, and his background is in sport and clinical psychology. He is dedicated to consistently improving personal and professional resilience by applying research-based performance skills and techniques used by elite athletes and military servicemen. He offers executive coaching for individuals and tailored corporate seminars designed to cultivate a growth mindset, improve performance, and effectively manage stress. So, Dr. Scott McComas, welcome to Rebelpreneur Radio.
Thank you very much, Ralph. Great to be here.
Well, I'm really excited about getting into the topic of resilience. But I want to find out more and have you share with our listeners a little bit more about who you are and who do you help with your products and services.
Sure. Well, I'm kind of a child of both coasts. So I grew up in Maryland and California, and I went to college in Maryland, so Towson, and I graduated with a BS in mass communications, pun intended there, and dropped into IT and for 20 years. And so about halfway through that, I kind of felt like I wanted to make a more personal impact in other people's lives. And so somebody suggested I try psychology, which is an interesting lane change from information technology, but I've always been interested in it and found that I truly liked it. And so I spent another 10 years working in IT and going back to school to earn my graduate degrees. And so I like technology as well. And so I like to combine technology with kind of the work that I do. I guess on other personal note, I enjoy sports. I'm a big sports fan, and kind of that link to the sports psychology is there. And as well as I've jumped out of a perfectly good airplane. I've shared a stage with Ian McKellen, who was Gandalf in the Lord of the Rings movies, and been to Australia hiking in the bush there, which was so much fun. It was such a great experience.
That sounds really awesome. So that's interesting, your background, how you got the BS in mass communication. I got mine in marketing and psychology.
Oh.
And then
right on.
Yeah. And then I ended up, I kind of got interested in strategic communication and started working on a master's in strategic communication. So it's interesting how all of our different backgrounds kind of overlap and make us into the unique people that we are, equipped to help people with a unique viewpoint. So that's really neat. Explain to me, before we get any further, what is resilience? Tell us the psychological definition of resilience and why it's important for people who are trying to run their business and have a great life.
Well, resilience is basically having the fortitude to be able to deal with the stresses and challenges that life throws at us. Is that what you were looking for?
I'm sorry, you dropped
Hello?
out. You dropped out there just a second. I'm sorry.
Oh, no problem.
Yep. I'm just going to make a note, and then if we could go back to that, we can edit all this out. This is why we record.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
So, just give us that.
Did you?
I got part of it.
The resilience definition?
Yeah, I got part of it. If you could start back up with just answering that part right there, we'll just edit this section.
Fantastic. So resilience is the ability to be able, or how much you are able to take on the stresses and challenges that life throws at you. So how strong are you in being able to do that? Some are stronger than others. And so what I like to do is resilience is great because it can be built up. And so it's not just something that you have or don't have. It's not static. So it can be built, and that's one of the things I do.
Interesting. How did you get interested in working with people in the area of building up their resilience? There's got to be a story behind this, because you're so active, and you're jumping out of airplanes and you're doing stuff. So obviously you've figured out how to be resilient. But tell us a little bit more about what got you into this direction and where you've come from to get here.
So a lot of that actually comes from the work that is done by, or the mental training that is done by elite athletes, and has also been, now the military is using it. And I kind of fell into it because really I never started out thinking I was going to go in this direction. And while I was actually looking for grad school programs, I was looking at clinical doctorate programs, straight up clinical doctorate programs. And I was going to open houses, and one of the open houses I went to, I walked in, and I'm in, I like to dress casually most of the time. So, t-shirt, shorts. So I've got a baseball cap on, and one of the professors walks up to me, and she looks at me and goes, "So you're here for the sports psychology program open house, right?" And I looked at her because I'd never heard about sports psychology before. And I looked at her, I said, no, I'm just here for the clinical doctorate program. And she gave me this big smile and said, "I've got a deal for you." So they actually had a master's in sports psychology and a clinical doctorate program linked together. And for me, it was like chocolate and peanut butter. It was like, Reese's peanut butter cup. And so that's how I started in getting, in learning about resilient psychology, performance and resilient psychology. And in about 2006, I had seen a job placement for military members, and the military was hiring folks kind of in the sports psychology field. And I thought, wow, that would be a great thing to do, and I hope to be able to do it one day. But that was back. I hadn't graduated with any of my degrees yet, but I had gone to a conference and saw that, and it looked really interesting. And so that kind of continued to lead me in that performance and resilience direction. And so once I graduated, that's the direction, I do incorporate a lot of the clinical psychology work into the performance and resilience psychology, but I realized that I really wanted to focus more on helping people on that performance and resilient side rather than the actual clinical side.
Very good. Yeah. So I think it would probably make sense for us to talk about how the resilience and the sports psychology applies to business. And I'm thinking of a book, The Power of Full Engagement by Lauer and Schwartz. And they take that concept of sports psychology and they apply it to what they call the corporate athlete. So I think there's a lot of people in business, and they don't realize that they have to train as athletes in order to have the resilience and the positive mental attitude. They don't go through the same training. And so how How do you take the sports psychology and apply it to people who aren't athletes, I guess is the question that I'm trying to come up with. How do we apply this to normal people outside of a sports context?
Sure. Well, the great thing about these concepts and these skills is, in essence, they're life skills. It's not rocket science. They can be applied to any context, anywhere. The only difference in a lot of cases, depending on the context, is the language that you use. So business, you're going to be using a different kind of language than you would be working with an athlete or a sports team. And it's really, and like I said, anybody can use these. And one of the things I really like about it are the transference. So not only can you use these skills in a workplace, but you can take them home, because communication is actually one of the big things that I work with. That's one of the most common problems that I see with companies, is communication and teamwork. And, you learning effective communication skills at work can obviously help you when you take it home, working with your family or whatever social engagement that you're at. So that's one of the things I really, really, like about this stuff. Did that answer your question?
It does. Yeah, that's really good. And
okay, good.
And it does all depend on the language, but the principles are the same. They're applicable, because people are people, whether they are athletes or corporate executives. And, I guess you could take some sales language and talk about scoring, putting some points on the board, and, you've got goals and,
right.
and everything. So it does have some nice segues in between those. So you work with people to help them apply these skills, these life skills, so that they can grow, improve their performance, manage stress. And you're helping all of these people from all these different backgrounds. But I've got to imagine that there's probably some common threads, some common problems that you see over and over again. What would you say is, and you've mentioned a few, but what would you say is the biggest problem that you typically see over and over again with the people that you help?
Not controlling the controllables.
Interesting.
So, yeah. So letting go, knowing exactly what you have full control over, and then being able to let go of that which you do not have control over, or putting less energy into things that you have less control over. So you don't have, for instance, there are actually 3 things that we have full control over, only 3 things that we have full control over. And that's our mindset, how we respond to things, and our effort. We have full control over nothing else. Traffic, weather, other people. We have partial or no control to anything else. And that includes thoughts and emotions. That includes, the thoughts going through your heads and the emotions you're feeling. If I tell you not to think of a pink elephant, what's the first thing you think of?
I start thinking about pink elephants. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So you don't have full control over your thoughts. So this is that, and that is actually the philosophy on which I build all of my work on, is helping people control the controllables and the things that go along with that. So skills that help increase your control over those controllables, for instance. So focus and productivity, or communication. So you don't have control over the other person. You don't have control how the other person is going to react or respond. However, you have control over how you respond. And if you respond effectively to another person, that increases the chances. It doesn't mean that they're going to do what you want them to do, or respond how you want them to respond, but it will increase the chances. So increasing control in those particular ways.
I really like that. And isn't it another quirk of human nature that we always want what we can't have? And that speaks to what you're talking about. We try to control things we have no control over, and then the things we have total control over, we just ignore. It's like,
right.
I want control over everything.
Yeah, right. And we all do. I mean, I trust me, I am as guilty as everybody else in doing that. So, but being able to focus on those things that you actually can control goes a long way, both in performance and resilience. Because if you're spending a lot of energy trying to control things you can't control, that causes stress. But if you're not putting as much energy into those things, then you're not expending as much energy, and so therefore your stress level should be. You shouldn't have as much stress.
Yeah, it's amazing how much energy you have to be creative and to be productive when you stop wasting energy on things that you can't change anyway, right?
Right. Exactly.
So someone's listening to this right now and they're saying, yeah, I identify with that. I'm trying to control stuff that I have no control over. And I like to give people a little self-help process. So what can someone listening right now do when they recognize, yeah, I've got a problem with this? How could they begin to see some immediate improvement in this area?
Sure. So when I talked about mindset before, I don't know if you're familiar with the work of Dr. Carol Dweck. She came up with this concept of a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset. So because you have full control over your mindset, make sure your mindset is in that right place that you need to see. So seeing problems as challenges rather than coming from a place of maybe anxiety where problems are problems. So, instead of, oh my God, I need to get my TPS reports done by 2:00 today. I don't know what I'm going to do if I don't, get it done. Come at it from okay, I'm going to knock these out. I'm going to crush them, even though they're boring. I'm just going to crush them out and get them done. So that's the first thing. The second thing is being aware of your responses, how you're responding to situations. And I don't mean a reaction, because a reaction is involuntary. It's like someone pushing your button and you jumping. And every time they push your button, you jump. Becoming aware of how to respond. So becoming aware of when your button's getting pushed. So your button's getting pushed and you're jumping. Okay. Now you realize your button's getting pushed and you're jumping. Next time someone pushes that button, now that you're aware of it, now you have a choice. It's like, do I want to jump or not? And then, but it's a process, because it can take a little time. So it may not be an immediate thing, because a lot of that takes you have to kind of go inside and kind of look at your own patterns and processes and see where, some of those thought patterns or behavior patterns might not be as effective as you want them to be. So once you become aware of that, then you can choose more effective responses. And then the final thing is effort. Where is your best effort? Giving your best effort in any day, time, or place. Now, that's not to say that you are going to be able to give your quote unquote best effort every day. If you're sick with the flu, your best effort is going to be a 2 or a 3 on a scale of 10, instead of if you're feeling great and you've gotten good sleep the night before and you're in the zone, well, then you're maybe anywhere 8, 9, or 10. So just being aware that on any given day at time, wherever you are, making sure you're giving your best despite whatever challenges you're facing, or whether you're sick or whether you're not. If you're feeling great, then you can, obviously your best effort's going to be better.
Yeah. I like that. You can't always turn in a 10 depending on things that you don't have control over, right? But you do control how much effort you bring to that situation, whatever that situation may be.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like that. Now, one of the challenges with self-help is you have to help yourself, and most people aren't able to think through these things and figure it all out. Even, you tell them, give them the recipe for making a chocolate cake, and they've got it there in front of them, but they still don't know how to make the cake. How would working with someone like you really improve their chances for success?
So those are exactly the skills that I teach. So you're talking about, giving the recipe for the chocolate cake. Well, I'll give you the recipe for the chocolate cake, but then I'll also help you step through the process of baking the chocolate cake as well. And really those are practical tools that involve things like motivation. Where's your motivation at? Where's your confidence at? If I'm not confident that I can bake that chocolate cake, even though I have the recipe, well, then, there might be an issue in actually baking that cake and doing that work. But again, that also then ties to mindset, being able to be able to, when you're aware of it, take yourself out of that. I'm not sure I can actually bake this cake, and no, I'm going to bake it. And okay, so it may implode on me in the oven, but at least, it's your best effort. So offering the practical skills and tools to go along to help be able to increase awareness, which then creates choice, and then which equals control, which then leads to hopefully better success or increases the chances for success.
I like that. So you can, in a way, get to a point where you do have more control, but you're controlling things that are controllable. Instead of banging your head against the wall trying to control something like other people and other people's responses that you have no control over.
Exactly. And beating your head against the wall only gives you a concussion. So stop giving yourself a concussion and step back.
Exactly. Well, this is really helpful. Now, you do corporate training and development as well as executive coaching for individuals and corporate seminars, lots of things. What are you working on right now that's got you really excited?
So I'm actually refining a modular professional training and development program for businesses designed to do increased productivity, team effectiveness, and to offer those practical tools to help both on the performance side and the resilience side. And it's really based on, like I said, like we've been talking about, it's based on controlling those controllables, but and there are different modules that come with it. So, go in and we do an assessment and then figure out what the company needs and then go from there. So it focuses on things such as, there's a stress and resilience kind of chapter, energy management, which is actually, pretty big, where is your energy going? And that is something that you do have some control over. And we can give you more control over that. Motivation, identifying and changing limiting beliefs. And that's a big part of the mindset component, is figuring out where are you self-sabotaging, where are you shooting yourself in the foot, and changing it. So you're not shooting yourself in the foot anymore.
That hurts.
Effective goals. Yeah, exactly. It's like beating your head against the wall. That shooting yourself in the foot may hurt worse. So effective goal setting is another area. A lot of times people in companies don't set goals that are in their control. They'll set goals which we call outcome goals, which say, I want to make a company sales goal of $1 million this year, and do they have full control over that goal? Depending on market conditions, or a recession happens, or one of a myriad of different things, you don't have full control over that. There may be other reasons why that goal is not reachable. However, you can do things that we call performance and process goals, and performance and process goals include like make 20 calls a day. Mm-hmm. Go to 5 networking events a week. Those are things you actually have much more control over than that outcome goal. So working with companies on how to set effective goals. And then effective communication, as we've also talked about, and then effective team building, team cohesion. How is the team working together? Is it not working together? And getting into the really going a little bit deeper into I would say interpersonal communication as well as expectations and values.
Excellent.
So that's kind of an umbrella kind of a professional training and development seminar, that I offer, or that we offer.
Yeah, very helpful and very useful. I think our listeners will want to find out more about your products and your services. What's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Well, they can go to the company website, which is McComasCG.com, and that's McComasCG.com.
Excellent. Well, this has been really motivational, and I'm already kind of thinking about what you've said and how I can apply it and become more resilient and focus on the things that I can control and not on the whole world. But it's been really good. As we close, any final thoughts or words of wisdom that you'd like to leave us with?
Sure. So I have 3 sayings that you'll, if you work with me, you'll hear me say this a lot. So if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always gotten.
Yeah, good one.
There is no failure. There's only feedback. And that's a mindset thing. And finally, it's kind of going back to the tagline that I use is building awareness, creating choice, and gaining control. That's all there is to it.
Excellent. Well, you make it sound real easy. I know it's not easy, but you make it sound achievable. So it's been really good having you. I've been speaking with Dr. Scott McComas. He is a professional training and development consultant based in Orlando, Florida, and you can find out more by visiting his website at McComasCG.com. Scott, it's been a real pleasure to have you on the show today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ralph. It's been great being here.
You've been listening to Rebelpreneur Radio with Ralph Brogden. Download the show notes and much more at ralphbrogden.com.